Hey everybody, we're back for part 2 of the conversion tracking video for my GHL Meets Google Ads course. And part 1 will be linked in the video description. In part 1 we started fresh with a brand new tag manager and GA4 account. In this video we're going to be converting a universal analytics property over to GA4, which is a little bit easier to do. So if you already had conversion tracking working, this is the video for you. And before we get started, if you're interested in the full course, it will be linked in the video description after August of 2023, so right around September 1st. Let's switch over to the computer and start part 2. Now we're starting part 2 of the conversion tracking video, and we'll be converting the previous Universal Analytics account and conversions over to the new GA4. So if you're trying to convert, you already had an existing Universal Analytics property, fully functional, tracking everything you needed it to. It's connected to your landing page and you know it works. But now you need to update to GA4. That's what we're going to do in this video. So you'll need your same tag manager account, the one you're already using. We're going to need to create a new GA4 property inside of Google Analytics. And then you'll need your Google Ads account to import your GA4 conversions over. You'll also need to link that up to GA4. So to get started, we're going to go into our tags here, which you should already have some from Universal Analytics. So in our case, we have call, click, and form submit, and where we actually connected our Universal Analytics here. Now, I do have some other ones in this property, but I'm going to leave those blurred out now. We're going to create all new ones for GA4 specifically. What's cool is we can use all these same triggers as before. They're all still functional. If they were working for you before, we actually just need to create these 3 new tags for GA4 and connect up the same triggers. So let's start by creating our GA4 insertion tag and actually linking up our new property. So we're going to click New Tag. We're going to name it GA4 insertion tag. And I'm going to put this in parentheses just for the sake of this video, but you guys can just name it that. And we'll go to tag configuration, GA4 configuration, and now we'll need to go create our GA4 account and grab this measurement ID here. So when you're creating the GA4 property, it's very important to do it from the Universal Analytics account you already have. So you want these to be connected so you can easily import your conversions over. So make sure you're in that same client Universal Analytics account. And we'll go to admin, and we're going to create a new account. So here's where you would name it after the business. I'm going to leave this checked off so it keeps it tied to my main master account. Pretty much leave everything else there and click next. I always name this after my domain for the actual property and give it the correct time zone. Everything else looks good, and click next here. Select a relative industry, business size, click next. I like to check off all these. It's not really going to affect anything except this last one. That's something different, so I leave it. Click create. We're going to accept the GA4 terms, and you should get a screen that looks like this. Now we don't actually need these install instructions because we're going to do it through Tag Manager, so we can exit out of that one, but we do need this measurement ID right here. We're just going to copy that, come back to Tag Manager, and paste that in there. And then for triggering, we just want to select all pages and save that. Now we just need to create our call, click, and form submit tags for GA4, so we'll go to New. For tag configuration, we're going to select GA4 event. And for configuration tag, you'll need to select the one you just created. I actually have 2, so I'm just going to follow the test theme here. Event name, we want to put call, click. And for triggering, here's where we can select the previous triggers we already had. So you see we already had 3 call, click triggers. So all of those can be selected again. And if you have multiple, just click the plus. And so you have all your call, click triggers that were originally for Universal Analytics selected. And then we can click Save this tag. Last but not least, we want to add our form submit. For tag configuration, we'll select GA4 event again, and our GA4 insertion tag. Name our event, form submit, and we can choose our form submit trigger again. right here. And we'll save that. So now we've got our 3 tags here again, and we can see that all the triggers match from Universal Analytics. We can actually just leave these in place. It's not going to affect anything. So we want to test them now. So we'll go to submit these changes. You can enter a description for what you did here if you would like. I'm going to skip. You can exit out of this and go back to Workspace. And now we want to preview it to test it out on the landing page and make sure all those new tags are firing. So click connect here. Let it load up our landing page. And let's test out our call to click actions here. So there's one. We added another one that was down here. It's a different call click text. So that should have fired twice. And then actually here's a third. So let's see if those fired. So we can see the test GA4 call click test fired 3 times. Awesome. GA4 insertion tag for test, that's also fired. So now we just need our GA4 form submit. And to do that, we can actually just plug our path in here. You should always actually submit your form and test it out yourself to make sure it's redirecting still properly. But I don't want to bug this client on a Sunday, so I'm just going to copy in the path and test it out this way because I'm 100% sure that my form is working. So your path you're just going to replace right there, but you need to leave the question mark and everything after it for the tag assistant here. So now we'll load the thank you page, go back to tag assistant, and we can see that the GA4 form submit tag was fired 1 time. Awesome. So everything is set up on the Google Tag Manager side, and we can exit out of both of those for Tag Assistant. And so now we can go back to Google Analytics, and we can exit out of that and just go to Analytics Home, or click Next here actually, and continue to Home. And now we need to actually switch over to our Universal Analytics property for this same client, which would be right here, our Universal Analytics property. We're going to open that, and then we're going to go to Admin down at the bottom. And you've got the GA4 Setup Assistant right here. So once you get to the Setup Assistant, we're not going to click Get Started. Now if you could here and just go ahead and toggle this on. It's typically on. I just turned it off. But we don't want it to automatically create one because we already have. So we can just select the one we created here. But you could also start here and just let Google create the GA4 property for you. But we're going to select the one we created. And click Connect Properties. Alright, and that looks good. So now we can go into this GA4 property, and we should be able to import our conversions over. So let's go in here. This is GA4, and now we'll go to Admin and Setup Assistant. So now that we see that, we should get another option down here where it says Setup Conversions, and we click this. It now gives us a new option to import from Universal Analytics. Awesome. They're both here. You can click Import Selected Conversions and continue. And we get the little confirmation message there. So now we can go to the Conversions tab here. And we see they're both there. Awesome. And they're both marked as conversions. So now we have imported those over. And lastly, you'll just need to connect up this new GA4 property to your Google Ads account. So you can scroll down here and go to Google Ads links. Now I do already have mine connected, but you'll just want to click link and choose Google Ads account. It's going to list all your accounts here. You're going to want to choose the one individual account and just check it off. And then at the top, click confirm. And it should link up your Google Ads account. Then you'll have those options to import conversions into Google Ads after 24 hours. And although it does take 24 hours to show in Google Ads, I'll go ahead and show you exactly where and how to do that. We're going to open this Google Ads account for the same client. And at the very top, we're going to click Tools and Settings and Conversions. Click New Conversion Action, and we're going to choose Import, Google Analytics 4 Properties, and you'll select Web and Continue. And hey, would you look at that? Ours are actually already here. Typically takes longer than that, but we can see them both from GA4, so we can go ahead and complete our full conversion tracking setup here. We're going to select both of those, import and continue, and done. That's awesome. So now we can actually configure some things here. We're going to want to open these up and make sure they're configured correctly. Click Edit Settings, and from here we want to make sure it's a primary action, but this is actually for call click, so we'll let Google know that it's a phone call lead. So select call lead, and that looks good. You can rename it if you'd like, and then you can put in a value. You can match your value from Google Analytics, and we want it to count every conversion and be data driven. So everything looks good here. We'll go back and we want to do the same thing for form submission. So we'll click Edit Settings, save it after renaming it, and then we'll select. Here we can tell Google that it's a submit lead form. We still want it to be a primary conversion counted in the conversions column. We can put in our value here, and everything else looks good. And so everything should be complete for our conversion tracking here. We'll want to give it one final test, but I will say you can't actually test it coming into Google Ads unless you click one of your own ads first. So all your ads have to be live. You have to be in your area, search it on a live search result page, click your ad, pay for that click, and then become a test conversion yourself to actually test it with Google Ads. So I'll say it's not really worth it. We've already tested from the Tag Manager side. We know that's working. We imported them to Analytics and then Google Ads. So if we can get them to at least show in Analytics, they're most likely going to show from Google Ads. But it's always a really good idea to keep a close eye on it during the first week and make sure your first conversions of each kind are actually being tracked here. I will also say that when it does track real conversions all the way to the Google Ads level, it's not instant. So if somebody fills out a form today, you're not going to see it tracking as a conversion until tomorrow. So it's all kind of backed up by 24 hours. And same thing for phone calls and everything like that. So you'll see them the next day. So just be sure and check that one of each of your first conversions are tracking. Now if you notice that you get some of your first real leads, you're 100% positive they came from Google Ads and they weren't just organic or something, or your client sharing their domain, and they're tracking in Analytics but not in Google Ads, then just reach out and we can schedule a quick call to kind of diagnose where you're at with conversion tracking. So those are just a few important things to know about how tracking actually works on the Google Ads side. We still want to give it one final test and make sure it's reporting in Analytics for tomorrow. So we'll test it today. I'm going to go back to our landing page and refresh. And we're going to click some of our call to action buttons for calls. Click one or two, make sure those will be tracked, and then all we need to do is we can actually submit the form. I will say you should always test it like a real lead. I'm 100% positive mine's correct and that it's forwarding to my thank you page. So I'm just going to go to my thank you page and refresh it. And since I just landed here, this should track as a conversion in Google Analytics and show tomorrow, and it should show my call leads from clicking the buttons. So let's go into Google Analytics and I'll show you. You should be able to track them here under conversions, but again, it's not real time, so you might not see it until tomorrow. And then it should be under the events tab as well here, and it should show those reporting as well as other events that aren't counting as conversions. And then you can always go to the reports tab over here as well. So click on reports, and there's ways to drill down over here too under examine user behavior, and you've got events and conversions again, where you can get more of the view of data we're all used to with Google Analytics. So we can go into events and you can filter for separate ones and kind of see how those are taking place, and do the same for conversions, and can select individual conversion events by doing things like this. Now I will say it's a little more complicated to get these kinds of reports and stuff. So kind of as far as I've taken it with GA4 right now is making sure my leads are tracking and my conversions are tracking on the Google Ads side. That's what's most important, because your campaigns are going to be optimized around the actual conversions. We start with manual cost per click, but that's with the plan to always convert to a maximize conversion bidding strategy, where that is literally the things that Google is optimizing the whole entire campaign around. So I hope this video is very helpful for you guys. I know GA4 has been a bit of a struggle to transition over to for a lot of people, but hopefully this got you through it and you can continue tracking all of your conversions in Google Ads.